Hello and welcome. It is the completion of the 14th day of July 2019. My name is Derek. Like always, all bets, trades, and of the like within each his own risk and their own reward. Within Bitcoin against the US dollar since the April 1st breakout, it looks like down week number four. The first one was not so much of one, it was only down 2.5% as it was fidgeting along within this level. And then I had a good 4 weeks after that. I'm not going to count this week as a down week. It was down 0.66%, or if that one was that one was up 0.01%. But this one here was down 12.61% after all those weeks up, and then it followed through with really 3 weeks up in a row. At least up when it hit this high of near 14K, that was a decent sized green candle at that point. And right now, with only 1 hour and 43 minutes to go in the week, as it is 6:17 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, down 840 or 7.13%. As price action remains above the 18 average. However, you want to draw this uptrend line, it's most certainly intact. But as we look further in the shorter term, we're not going to do that yet, but we're going to see some symmetricalness as it fights through this correctionary phase. But in the meantime, still within this monthly chart, we're at the halfway point now, 14th day, 31-day month, so pretty close to it. It's been pausing in there so far, hanging in there. It's obviously still above this 18. And whenever you have a spot like this, bull market's 18 lows is what I'm looking for to be support. With that being said, I like that's to be support. If it's well above it and it's above the 18 highs, you expect it to take a couple weeks, a couple, 2, 3 periods at least to get there. So if there's going to be any corrections, it's unlikely it would come down. But right now, that must hold area is like 5,200, and that would seem so devastating to people. And obviously so. But as this market has played through, and with that being obviously with that being said, 18 average of highs is what you'd be looking for. Right now, that number is in at 78, 71. So that is right in that general area for where you would want to see it hold on the immediate sense. But it's just a barely decline in here with the 18 from the latter part of 2018 up until as it was reaching it on the April 1st rally. Now we can see it's barely starting to rise at a low rate of ascent. Nothing like this rate of ascent that it was having during the screechingly large great bull market. But is it able to resume it? Because that's exactly what it would be doing if it's able to keep things going as far as the uptrend is concerned. And for that, that symmetricalness that I'm going to be talking about is going to be shown on the shorter term. But this is a 3-day chart, still hanging in there within the 18. But after supporting it last period, now dipping within it. This is the first time it's really attempted to do it since in here, and it really didn't even attempt much in doing it. Hasn't even came close to touching the 18 average of lows since it broke out from it, and this is going back to February the 6th amongst this time frame. As far as the 8-hour chart is concerned, I'm going to just talk about it's in the sideways action. So until we can, until it breaks it, it's neutral. But this is where it gets very symmetrical. We have this high. We have what ends up being this low. At first it was this, but then it made one more lower low. In the attempt, it got above this high, but it got below this one. So both of these highs and lows were both surpassed within this one. So now we can start drawing down trend lines within this. We'll see on any rallies how this plays out. And this isn't starting 2-on-2. We can even connect lows within here. But with that being stated, right now the price action has came down to this low, which is higher than it is here. A little bit on the short run. What do we have for time left? 138. This period's pretty much done for the most part. It's at the high percentile way through, as it will conclude at 8 o'clock. It's 6:21, but just a little bit of a small comeback after what was a really harsh, large down move. Decent sized one. This was down 6.4%. And And in doing so, how did this work out within the 18 the whole time? Well, as it was obviously an uptrend in here, so correctionary phase comes down to the lows, then up to the highs, is unable to go any further and resume the trend. So it has some time correcting within the band. And then after failing to support it, thus that's one of the things you're looking for stage number one, establish support. Or excuse me, stage one, bat and flatten out. Then stage number two, establish support, which there we have it. And now it gets back going again. So here's our attempt. Now this is a statement right in here that it's ready to get things back and going on a bullish level. It successfully corrects within its mode. And then after exitation of the 18, it gets by this level of resistance and the failed breakout. As it got by this level of resistance, even getting by this level as well, and this is a failed move breakout, fast move lower. This is the general area I would expect, a decent sized leg from this congestion area, because that's obviously what happened when it came back down. It came back down into the congestion area from in here, establishing its level of support, which was in the same area, and then of course that period down as we've seen. May go down further from here. Time, of course, will only tell. It's already had one leg lower, so we've had a noticeable pierce above this. Next level is a small pierce above, and then the next level is a matching level, or pretty much matching, and then after that it would be a small pierce below, and after that would be a large pierce below. It's just small step statement, basically. And one way of me of why I'm saying this is because, okay, so you go down, you break a key level. We did it. So now if it's going to do any more, well, we're just either going to extend how big this move is, or maybe we find resistance at where we come from, because that's the key thing now. Whenever you break a level of key support, well, now I'm looking for it to be resistance. If it is, start to come back down, well, I'd be looking for a key leg below here. And, well, again, that would be a matching or a pierce below of previous level. And within this, as it was resisting in the 18, we've seen 1, 2, 3 periods of showing the weakness in here. And it dipped below here. So if you're in any type of short positions or betting against Bitcoin on this time frame, on this period, even though it came up to this, that should by no means have scared you out to say, okay, we're going to have a leg lower, because if you were betting at, say, 11,000 even for it to go down, well, right now it's at 10.6 and it was at 10.03 approximately. Alrighty, so just in finishing this up, let's just put this in within the tether with better short-term data and some other Fibonacci lines. So it's just a whole whack of lines in here. As of course this did support the last several periods at the key 11,200, and well, it does look as if maybe we might be coming back down to the 98. I'd be very surprised if we hang in there and we support this area for a decent amount of time. To me, it's either we're going to head down towards that level, and if it goes to 93 area and that's the bottom and it rallies from there nicely, that'll be sick. I'll talk about that later if it does. But as I see it, just normal mathematics and fib, yeah, the statement is that it's going to come back down here, as it had done so on the break of this level after having tremendous support here. And in such, if that's not the case, as I stated, I don't expect it to support this area in this general area for a decent amount of time. So it's going to have to be a decent sized rally. So it does have the potential for that failed breakdown, as it has broken down by this key level of support. But it just started. Is that going to be the case? Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't. And I'm not going to. Well, if I venture a guess based on coin flip odds, even odds, I bet that we would hit 98.33 over that of, well, it's same equivalency mathematically going higher. But of course, market's always going to do what it's going to do. I'm not going to bet anything of that kind of nature on the 3-hour term time frame. Since this decline, it happened on the 5-hour timestamp. Whole bunch of sideways consolidation, a couple of these periods with lower prices coming back. So like almost like a double bottom, you could almost guess what might be the case in there. On the single hour time frame, do we have any signals of that possibility? We have this down move here come up, down move there come up. So the double bottom that I would see just on 2 candles would further be played out in here. And a double bottom is nothing more than basically 2 U's or 2 V's. And I'm trying to push Control Z to get rid of it. There we go. Control Z is undo. So a double bottom, something like that. So that's what it's looking like is the case. And within it, I can see it's holding for a couple of periods at the neckline resistance point, 15-minute term. So there's one V, and then there's two, and then there's a sideways holding, doing here amongst the 18 on the highs, that is, and obviously big resistance established. So within this particular time frame, it has been in a downtrend since last night at 2200 hours at the 11,400 mark. As far as any attempt, and it was even a downtrend before. This move here was just a failed breakout. And the failed breakout, of course, most certainly had a large fast move lower. So it's been in even a more, pretty much a complete downtrend since in here because it never did technically revert the trend on this move 24 hours or so ago. So it's been, the top occurred on July the 12th at 1600 hours. So a little over 48 hours so far into the 50 hours or so into the downtrend. So this is attempt number two within the down move to revert it. Of course, this was that first one, and we know, oh, if it fails, what happens usually after a failure. But it isn't even attempting it right now. It's just in the neutral sideways consolidation. Meanwhile, showing, you could say, showing strength at the 18 highs. Basically, more than anything, showing a great setup. I have a hard time saying showing strength at that in when it's not in a bull market. But if it manages to get some further momentum moving up forward, well, then we can fill some of this empty space in that level that I mentioned of previous support, which is a range now. Most certainly, the conservative end would be 10,875, but the more realistic end would be closer to 11,224 if it's going to continue on within the rally. And once again, as far as it all is concerned, amongst the daily chart, it's all stuck in the sideways consolidation from this last move. Within it, let me just change the Fibonacci points. Okay, and then, so it's just stuck within the Fibonacci level. This is a 61.8 and 76.4 from the $3,000 lows and the $20,000 highs on an exponential level. And it's just going to be just neutral until then. Because one of the things about the market or charting that I figured out pretty early was whenever you have a big move from a key high to a key low, and you have like a 50% retracement ish, anything close to it, then you have to ask that question. Okay, what next, people? Meaning, there's your high, there's your low. You're starting to rally. So basically, around July 3rd in here, okay, what are we doing? We're at 11.3. What are we doing? Are we taking out this 12.9, or we're taking out the 9.8 number? Okay, well, we're still waiting because it hasn't. And technically, it's not the 12.9. You're taking it the 13.9, I should have been stating, because it's that high. So ignore that line in there. So it didn't take it that high, thus, as I mentioned before, the lower high for symmetricalness, and again, the lower, higher low. And let's now wait to see what happens as we move next into Monday. But before then, let's take a quick look at some other coins. Bitcoin Cash was in this trading range of about 400 and was even up close to 500. Now it's near 300, and it's back to where it came from in here. Starting to go a little deeper within it. Not quite yet to piercing below 3, but obviously we're starting to fill some of this empty space in here. And just quickly look at some Fibonacci here. We're looking at about 75, and I'm going to comfortably put in 500 for that. So if we put in 75 and 500, I'm looking at the 61.8 as the key number. That comes in at 242, and just for curiosity's sake, 320. So we're at that 320 now, and of course we were already there in here. And a little bit of support. So now it's not as strong as it was before. But if it breaks down below that, then yeah, 240 would be having a 38.2% retracement from this low towards this high. Ethereum breaking through its key level of support on its daily term time frame and down to its Fibonacci line that I've gotten drawn in here, as it's really a failed breakout more than anything. As this move north of the June 21st rally, getting above this double hit level of resistance, and having one little move in here, supporting that level, but unable to, after coming back to where you came from, a strong symbol, and then this move in here, July 7th on, having its attempt to break out and resume that bull market, obviously failing to do so, and since, of course, July the 10th has managed to have a sharp move back to the lower end where they came from, as well as the Fibonacci. Small rallies create head and shoulders pattern because they'd be the left shoulder, nice little move. So if it has a puny ass, is another way of putting it, rally, and falls back lower, head and shoulders pattern. If we don't find support here, I got a line in at 158. I don't know if it means so much on any Fibonacci scale. I don't remember when or how I put it in, but I got these two uh, length in here as different lengths as the other ones, as these ones in here. Actually, I'm trying. I don't even know, but within it, this is a key level of some major resistance that it had, and that's of course if it's going to fill empty space from this low to this high. Litecoin has went below its 100 number. It's also like all the other ones, just barely going below. What's on the 3 days? Barely going below. Daily, it broke down below this level of support. I mentioned it recently, I think yesterday or the day before, how I deem this to be that of a bear market on the daily term time frame. So that means on the 3 day chart, it's trying to. It's now in stage number two. It's deep enough. Where I'm like, yeah, that's. I guess that's big enough, barely for big enough. Anything like here, you start once it gets too much, it's okay. That's too big of a move, and I say that as far as just trying to technically read this chart. Go through the four stages. Stage one was band flattening out. Right now, it's in this live status of stage two, establishing a level of support in the attempt to revert this trend. Because it's not often it just goes straight down, but in some cases, things will that will happen. But obviously, the 18 average will start to go down, and well, it's either you correct it successfully from there, and that's all the empty space you fill, and it would be a failed breakdown if, of course, it comes back because it's already got down below this key level of support that we can see here on the daily chart. If, of course, again, that's going to be the case. It's either that, let me just fill its Fibonacci, and we got about a high of about, we'll go 143 and a little around 22 and a quarter. So we have about 70 as it's 61.8. So same thing again with the last thing I was mentioning. I would be very surprised if we have like a good support level here that holds for a while as the bottom. So I'm either thinking it's going to have a little bit of further retracement or a failed breakdown. One of the two, and it's too early and too difficult at this time for it to be determined on any sense of which it's going to be. On the 8 hour chart, after this leg lower, we can see within its correctionary phase, it's almost like it hit some sort of like object that it was like some sort of slippery thing that it was just sliding off, and then once all of it went off, it just fell kind of deal, like watching like maple syrup or whatever fall off of some sort of thing. And then once the whole last drop falls off it, I mean a big splash from whatever. So something was barely, it was like barely holding it within the 18 in this correctionary mode within the retracement from this low to this high. And then, of course, leaving this level of support, just a fast move that occurred. And then, of course, it was going down within the Bitcoin price. Single hour term time frame, there's a lot of the support we can see in here. There's your failed breakout attempt. Makes the attempt in here as it first made a statement, barely a brief one in here, like it was probably going to try to do it. Most certainly made the statement here, but not correcting within the 18 in here. And then as it was declining, resisted it, just showing a lot of the weakness down at the lower end of this range that it had from 0 hours, just basically this part of the chart in here, which is just never like a cool thing. Pretty much head and shoulders esque like, because you got the left side, the middle, and the right side, and the whole that head and shoulders part was on the last third of its part was the weakness that it had compared to the middle part. And again, the fast move that goes down, decent sized move, grinding, and then another leg lower. So far now it's in its correctionary mode, and it's just that if anything, it's getting to stage one with the band flattening out. Still, of course, long ways to go. And looking at the short term isn't going to help me at all at any into trying to determine what this move actually is in the two options that I mentioned. Are we going to get further decline? And of course, when I say 60, that's still noticeable. That's losing a third of its value from this point forward. Or are we going to have a failed breakdown? And that's very significant too, because if the market has a failed breakdown, then I would expect it to have a quick move back to its previous congestion area. And the key level that it broke down below was around the 112 to 109 level. And the congestion area was basically in this little area here. So I'd have to say south of the fib line down to about like 115. So a move between 115 to 126 quickly. And the fast move is a leg higher from this resistance point here, which I've got a line in at 190. So I would consider a fast move higher next target to be such. So to me, those are really the only two situations that I am looking at it from this point of view. But for me, in the meantime, it's this is really one of this is obviously part of the crypto space and the volatility. It's going to be there. And if you're not able to stomach it, well, then I don't know what else there is to say amongst the situation. And every time a big sell off like this occurs, to me, it's either one of two things. It's either one of those types of very volatile sell offs in what is a very secularly amazing bull market on the long term time frame, or it's one of the early phases of what is toppy action and, of course, the end of the crypto space. And in such the case, the probability odds to me would state the former over the latter. But that doesn't stop me in key situations from turning cryptos into things like precious metals. It's just right now at 91 Litecoin, it's not one of those situations. For market prices coming up to these previously high areas, yeah, a little bit. Oh, new areas, most certainly. It's just like saying, when was a better time to turn Litecoin into silver? Was it back here in 2016 or was it up here in 2017? Obviously, at the higher prices. Oh, how about back down in here? Well, no, because the opportunity surpassed in here. And then, of course, any type of trading along the way, that's what I'll be doing within the ratios. This is a list of my coins that I trade the ratio against. So some of my key gainers, I got Sky and Gold Chain, and I just recently had a sale on this, very little south of the 110 number. So I got nothing at this stage right now to trade. But volatility here, yeah, has up and down moves, and it just keeps doing that. And these little UV shaped formations is profitable to be able to sell up here, buy back in here, sell back in there, and all that type of stuff. If one of the markets just keeps going straight up in one direction, then it might not work out too well. It might end up being fine still. If they chop back and forth in sideways moves, you're going to gain coins. Continuing on, we got waves and theta. This one's up 11%. It's been, and this in here. I mean, whenever you can get a market going from 19 up to 80 and then working its way back to 18, well, everything you sell just gets back profit. I wasn't trading it then. That's just part of things that you're looking to be able to do. This here, this little move in here. You want to take advantage of situations like that. So within the day, now you had to be available for whenever that day happened. It looks like it closed at that area, so if you're there around 8 p.m. Eastern time, it totally worked out. But even if all you got was 26 and it went up to like close to like 30, okay, well, it came right back down. We can see like 20 and all that type of stuff. So just all that magnificent stuff. Today, just getting a little bit back on this choppy back and forth action right now, and so on and so forth. As far as this 3%, man, nothing too exciting there. Down 7% on Litecoin Komodo. Very nice. This has been a nice profitable one for me. Of course, playing at a bit higher stakes as well too is another reason why. But when we look at this on the daily time frame, you're going to see why. It's just keeps chopping up and down, and I've been trading this since April 1st, around the start of April. So I mean, it's been like it's just basically in here. So up here I sell, back down there you buy, goes up you sell, back down you buy. For me, the 64, do I have? I don't know when the last I traded this in the last. 24 hours or 30 or so hours I traded it. I mean, it's really nothing going on here for me because my last trade was at 67.47. It says 68.02, and this was manually done. It's actually 64, so it was manually done when it was up to 68 in here, which wasn't that long ago. And now at 64.70, what's the differential in price? Well, at 65, it's 2.5, plus another 30 or so, so 2.8. 2.8 on 65, that's about, well, 3.2 is 5%, so under that. So not even, still a decent ways away from where I would want to trade something like this. But this 67.47 trade would have came in at yesterday. And then I made 3 trades the day before, one the day before that. A couple of days before that, I made one. And I mean, whenever more I can make, the better it is. If it takes like say 4 months for this great bull market of dartboard rally proportions to take off, then that's how much more it takes. I've been waiting a long time for a lot of them to come into place, and so be it. I don't know why I drew that. I'm trying to delete that, whatever it looks like, we're sticking right here. But however long it takes, it takes. But if it takes that whatever time, in the meantime, I'll just accumulate these coins. And if it just happens to work out that both being Litecoin and Komodo, where both of their prices against Bitcoin are really high, then I'll sell some of both. If it works out that just one of them is, well, then obviously I'm selling that for the other coin. And if it works out that the prices of Bitcoin and these Litecoins and Komodos against the dollar are really high, then as I mentioned before, turning coins into precious metals, activities like that seems to be the order in business for play. But it's even interesting on the 4-minute volatility here when we take a look at this. I mean, 64 and change, and this is 68 low change. So it already ripped through the entire 65, 66, and 67 handle and such. So something's got to be going on with Litecoin or Komodo. So let me just take a look at both of their Bitcoin process before ending this video. Let's take a look at Komodo. I want to go 1 minute and just see the best that I can here. Komodo's just having an okay rally. Nice little breakout statement in here. Comes back to the 18 and well, 1, 2, and now we're on 3 tests. Now just leaving the excitation right now of the 18. So it's looking good. What's Litecoin doing on the 1? It had its move earlier at like 1700 hours. Now starting to fill some of this empty space from point low to point high. Having its first correctionary test. And really, for that matter, it's, you could almost say come back to the band, but it's almost bearish now as it is, however you want to look at it, on this time frame, that is, 1 minute. But just filling some of the space in here, because all the other shorter term time frames, 4-minute time frame, yeah, correctionary mode, you're going to see the 18 is correcting within it on its way up, or sideways kind of deal, yeah, sideways. Way up would be the 15. In fact, it hasn't even corrected on that yet. So it's just having a small little price correction. And one thing about chart price action too, for markets going down, one way of looking at big declines, I was just thinking about this earlier, so I'll talk about this now. What I'm thinking about as the final topic of this video. And I'll use this as just the Sky Coin chart, just as something to have empty space with to draw on. Whenever markets have serious declines, let's just think about how price action works and how the movements are. So you have a market, it's doing whatever, sideways trading, and then it does that. And spend some time and nothing's rallying, people, the decline stops, and it's just going to move up, but it's not going to go higher than here, it's not going to go lower than there for whatever amount of period of time. And what's going to happen is all of these asks prices are going to fill in. Ask prices are sell orders. Now, who are these people that are selling? Well, I was thinking I got 3 different categories I would put them in. And regardless, it's always the day traders, the people that are just actively play the market. So no matter what the price is, they're just trading whatever in the area of the market. So price goes down, then they work in this lower area. They're going to fill in ask prices. They might be buying some of those prices themselves at different levels, and so on and so forth. So they're active participations that help add liquidity to the market. And then you got people that get pissed off that you're losing, and you're like, oh my goodness, they didn't sell on the way down, or they didn't sell enough. And they're like, you know what? If this thing rallies up, I'm just gonna have to sell. I want to get a better price. I should have sold at this, and so you have people that enter in sell points, either for stops in whatever method, losses on the market. Maybe they were buying up there. And some of them did sell on the way down to help trigger with the stop losses. But then there's going to be another group of people that are in the camp of, yeah, I'm just going to wait for it to come back. And I'm just going to get what I can get. Because a lot of them are in the same situation. Every single time it happens, you're usually, after a good decline, going to have a lower high rally back to where you came from. That's you fill spots in here. Then you have a group of people who are looking to make profit at those levels. So you have now a combination of two people of both that of uh, well, even profit takers, as far as, well, when I say losing position, they could have got better profit up there's another way of putting it. But these are just active people getting liquidity and volume, and they're taking their profits because the markets have been higher. Like stop losses, if you will, another measure of that, because even though, again, I say it's a loss, in some cases, because of where we came from, it's been a gain. And then, of course, people who are buying up here, those are the true losing individuals. And then you got the people that bought down here that are selling in here, the new buyers. And the longer any sideways action goes, well, then the larger this gets. And then the longer any down moves, any sequential down moves comes, well, that means now the empty space from here, all of this sell order spot, is going to include a whole bunch of people, new participants, who didn't really care about this price because they got in down here, and they're looking to sell for profit up in this point in there. And that's just part of the psychology amongst it, but it only adds a little bit of extra the liquidity here and there. And that's why oftentimes some of those things can get just destroyed pretty fast, which is really part of the essence and the fail and like those failed breakdowns and breakouts that I talk about in situations where markets do things like this, and then they come back to where they came from and then shoot up like this. In this situation in here, and one of my theories here as well too is, whenever a market has a big move like this, when this market was going down, there's always buyer and sellers going on. So people that sell are those that literally take whatever the market price whoever's buying and sell to them, and the buyers are people who have bid orders in. And if big money got a lot of buy orders fill in here, then part of their strategic plan might be first let's get buy orders fill whenever someone comes in, and then if we get that fill to at least the key level that we want, then it might be a strong situation, just buy it up in here and then just start liquidating up here. That's one of the things that I've thought about, especially when the amount of volume that it would take to buy in here compared to what they bought down here, as well as compared to what they already hold for this in their bank as it is anyway. So those are the things I wonder about different strategies that are going on amongst the crypto space. But again, I believe this market is long term going to have, at least for Bitcoin and majority of other currencies, at least have another decent sized gain moving forward. And moving forward is the next key level, we'll say six figures in Bitcoin, which should take a few years. And after that, well, we'll wait and see at that point. And for as it goes, why would it fail in the next few weeks and months moving forward? If it, I don't. If it was going to, I just don't think we would have uh, we even had any type of decent move to 10,000. I don't even think we would have went to 10,000 from the 3,000 lows. So how it's been holding the price action, and with all of the realism to how fiat currency is created, the fact that people on a day by day are understanding how corrupt the global monetary systems are on a country by country level, like they're pretty much the same, and I'd be very, very surprised if, of course, the crypto game is at a bad time to quote unquote enter into positions today. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great new week, great upcoming week. Bye bye.